Hey y'all, Pink Lady here. I use she, her pronouns, and I am your host of Bet on Yourself, Sis. So, welcome back to another episode. And if this is the first episode you're hearing, welcome. Today's episode is with Rose James, aka Black Rose Yogini. She is a yoga teacher and wellness entrepreneur. And in this episode, we talk about the importance of trying new things. We talk about staying relevant in business, taking the leap to full time entrepreneurship, listening to your intuition, being present and mindful in daily life. We talk about how Rose built her business and some of the challenges and triumphs she experienced. And Rose gives some great advice to our Black women entrepreneurs. This was another great episode. You'll hear me have a few mindset shifts and light bulb moments, and I'm sure you will too.
Yeah. Bet on yourself, sis. Bet on yourself, sis. You've got the goal. Confidence and style. Let your power show. You such a
Rose James, I am so excited to talk to you today. So, for the audience, I met Rose a while back on the other podcast, Podcasting is a New Kink. I will share the link in the show notes. That conversation was all about yoga and yoga specifically for Black women and why we should at least give it a try, right?
Mm.
So, this conversation is going to be a little different. I know we're definitely going to talk about yoga. You are a yoga teacher, right? So, that's what we're going to talk about. So, spirituality and all those things are going to come up. But we're going to try to frame this conversation around entrepreneurship. So, I'm really excited to hear like how you started your business and the pivot you had to make and all of that good fun stuff. So, Rose, if you can, please tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Rose. I'm also known as Black Rose Yogini online. And yeah, as you said, I'm a yoga teacher, but I feel now that I feel like that's evolving a little bit. I feel like I'm turning into a wellness entrepreneur.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so
Love that.
I'm starting to kind of branch out and explore other things. So yeah, mainly I teach classes. I'm based here in the UK in Birmingham, and yeah, I teach classes, workshops, events. Soon to do retreats, and
Yes.
I've recently trained in like sound healing. So I do add like elements of sound into my classes and my workshops. I do kind of bits of like womb based or womb centered yoga and kind of movement, intuitive movement in my classes. And I'm just growing and growing. And just as I said, like as a wellness entrepreneur, I'm kind
Yeah.
of growing that. I don't know, like that offering, shall we say? Because I just feel like I just feel like we need it. We need the wellness, especially
Mm-hmm.
now. We really working with a lot of factors going against it, so we just need that time for ourselves. So definitely really loving being in this space and helping people honor their like self-care and their
Yeah.
rest and all of that. So yeah, that's kind of me in a bit of a nutshell.
Love that. I love how you started off with like how you're evolving and how your business is evolving with you, because that is part of it, right? That is a huge part of the
Mhm.
entrepreneurial journey. As we grow and evolve and learn new things, right? Our business usually does the same. So can you talk
Yeah.
a little bit more about like what that looks like exactly, how you're evolving in into the wellness space, right? Like what does that actually look like for those of I know there are people in the audience who are like wellness, what is that? Yoga, what is that? Like those type of things. For those people who are just
Mm,
wondering, that don't have as much background in yoga and wellness, give them a little bit more.
mm, a little taste.
Yeah, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, because you've probably heard about like yoga classes, and then if you want to do a little bit more, you can then go into like maybe a meditation class, maybe like sound healing. So, for example, sound healing is you kind of go to a workshop or whatever it might be, and the person or the practitioner will be playing different instruments. So, things like sound, like crystal bowls, Tibetan bowls, things like that. So they kind of just look like a quite a big bowl, but they make a sound like this sound, and the frequency the sound waves hit your body, and because we're mostly water, they kind of interact with the cells and really just allow the body to go into a deeper state of relaxation. So a lot of times when you go to something like a sound bath, it's not like my dad or my mom, they're like, oh, do you go in like a bath and then there's sounds or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's I think more the idea is that you're bathed in sound, and it's like the sound is kind of all around, like 360,
Yeah.
kind of the way your body's receiving it. But it's just really good. You can get into a really deep state of relaxation. Some people find that after a sound bath, things have shifted, or you might feel that you start crying, or you need to release, or just it does really just switch things up. So if you are feeling kind of stagnant or tired, or you're feeling some kind of block somewhere, so when I say block, like you might just feel stuck in maybe a job or in a situation, maybe in a relationship or something like that, and things like sound healing can help clear that. Things like meditation can really help you see things clearly through your own intuition. But there's lots of things in the wellness space. I mean, there's all different types of yoga. There's like, events that you can go to, or festivals, things like that. So there's just a lot into it, and even things like maybe alternative therapies, so things like Reiki. There's a particular Reiki that I'll be training in soon. It's kind of like an Egyptian based healing called
Mm.
Sekhem. So that's something that I'm looking to again like add into my arsenal of skills. So I can then offer that to other people.
Yeah.
So there's just so much. Like, I mean, it's probably growing and growing. Like, you can do things like forest bathing, or hikes, or nature walking, foraging, going to a cacao ceremony, blue lotus. So some of those things you might be familiar with, some of them you might be like, what the well, just
Yeah.
if say you do end up going to like an event and you get to try all these different things, because even myself, I've been in this industry as a teacher for about 5 years, and even before that I was interested in all these things, and I'm still finding out about new things that are happening. So that it just keeps evolving, it keeps growing. So never feel like, oh my god, what's this. It's just give it a try and see what you think, because it might seem weird, but it might do what you need it to do. So definitely give it a try.
Absolutely. Give it a try,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that, I think that's my whole thing. At least try it because you just never know. Y'all, once you hear, go listen to the episode because then you'll hear how I got into yoga. And, I never thought I would be into yoga, but it's a huge part of my life now. It's a huge part of my spiritual journey now. So it's like, you never know. So try it, right? Um,
Amazing.
I love how you named the like different things. Sound bathing is something that I've definitely tried, and you, the way you described it, it's like, yep, that's exactly. I had a moment where I was kind of crying, and had things coming up for me. A lot came up for me. So again, just try, right? Why is that important? I think that's something that's important to me, to be a lifelong learner. I think you just never know enough, right? And especially because things are always changing, right? So how could you ever know enough? So just why do you think it's important to keep growing, to keep evolving, to keep adding these things to, your business, things that you can offer?
Yeah, I think in business, you really have to stay current and stay with the times,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, you can easily get left behind. So, and also, like at the moment, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in the UK, like reformer Pilates is really like taking off, and it's like that's like a whole new trend. And it's like before Pilates, I don't know. I felt like it was kind of behind yoga in
Mm.
terms of more people go to yoga and enjoy yoga and that kind of thing. And now it's like more people going to Pilates. So it's just because we don't know how things are going to change and shift. It's always good to, shift as well. Like have other things going on, have other income streams. Like I went to like a kind of like a business workshop, and the guy was saying you need to have multiple income streams. And it was like, although I'm teaching yoga, maybe I need to do some kind of talking therapy. So if say like my body doesn't want to teach or something, or I can then do a therapy over the phone online. Like I
Mm.
don't have to physically be there,
Yeah.
or you're only limited to how many, say, classes that you can teach as a teacher. So I am looking at ways that I can kind of diversify my income streams. Like this particular workshop, he was talking about writing an ebook. So that's something I'm looking into.
Mm.
So it's just, just kind of making sure that, say, one week, because business can kind of go up and down with any industry,
Yeah.
it's always good to have maybe a couple of, maybe like 3 to 5 different things where you're getting different bits of money, because you just never know when that little bit of money is going to help, or that skill might pay off, or you might find that that's going to make you more money without you doing as much work. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just, I think, definitely keeping up with it. And it's quite funny, in this workshop it was all about like using AI to create an
Okay.
ebook, very much against using
Yeah. Okay.
things like ChatGPT and AI and things like that. But I
Uh-huh.
actually saw that actually I could maybe use it for a structure, and then I can actually write this myself rather than relying on it. And then it feels like I'm cheating a little bit. But the guy in the workshop was like, if you don't kind of learn the things now, you're going to get left behind. And then who knows, in the next 10 years, they're going to probably want people that work with AI and
Mm-hmm.
that can write, or whatever it is. So it's just staying relevant, because look at the internet and computers and things like that. And
Yep.
if you're kind of not up with how the world's moving, it's going to be hard for you to adapt. So I kind of look at it like, like how Madonna changes through the times, like
Yes.
she, and
Oh,
even Beyonce.
yeah.
It's like we got to adapt, we got to modify. And maybe you can't see yourself as, this is exactly how I am and how my business is going to be. It's going to change. Like 5 years, a lot can happen. Like we had COVID 5 years, and look how much
Okay.
that pivoted everything. Yeah, like people working from home wasn't even a thing, and
Right.
now it's a thing. So you just don't know. So it's just good to have a lot of different things in your back pocket. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. AI. I remember when I first started to hear about all this AI, and I'm just like, "Oh, I want to stay away from it. I hate it." And I kept hearing the same type of things where it's like, if you don't learn this now, you're going to get left behind. And if you think about like how podcasting, just podcasting, we're not going to think about any other industry, but just podcasting, how it has changed so much in the past. I mean, podcasting is still a new industry, right? So he's talking about
Mm,
like 20 years or so. But in the past like 5 years with AI, it has changed so much. And
mm,
now I think it's really important to like not rely on AI, but utilize AI, like use it in the
mhm,
best ways and in creative ways. Let it help you,
100%.
do better,
Mm.
right? Let it help you do things faster, right? But don't rely on it. Like, it can't just
I
be
agree.
all
Yeah,
AI.
'cause we need to be using our brains. Otherwise, what are the,
Absolutely.
the machine's going to take over then?
Exactly.
And then do we need humans? Are the machine's going to make babies next? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
I don't
Okay, it's like where is too far, right? How far is too far? I don't know, and I don't want to see. I don't want to get there in my lifetime. So let's
know.
just let's use exactly like you said. We got to keep using our brains. Don't forget
Mm.
that humans created AI, right? Like, don't
Mm.
forget that AI didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Like, no, human brains created these tools, and human brains
Yeah.
are still making them better, right? Making them smarter, making them run
Mhm.
faster, giving them access to more information, right? So, yeah, you gotta find a balance. Like,
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
yeah,
We need the balance, otherwise, are we going to become obsolete? And if we don't utilize our brains or our memory and things like that, then just deteriorate. So it's like a muscle. So we've got to keep our
exactly.
brains active.
Exactly, exactly. I also like what you were saying about different income streams, but also so different income streams, yes, because we are going to talk about money. We're going to be honest about that, right? Like a lot of people don't want to talk about money and like act like you got to
Mm,
be in entrepreneurship just for the community and for that. And like, no, we're not. Mm-mm. We got to make money. We got to
yeah.
make money, right? We got to be able to care for ourselves first, right? So
Yeah.
absolutely. So I
Mm,
love how you're saying like the different income streams, and what it said to me was like, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself
mhm,
to this one thing, because you never know. Like you said, you can find something, you can try something new and it could be less work, more money, So
Mhm.
you're doing that and you're getting that income and you can focus on what you're really passionate about, right? Focus on those things that's
Mhm.
not really making as much money. So I think that was brilliant advice. I don't know if you wanted
Thank
to
you.
talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've to kind of tell you a bit about where I'm at now in my journey.
Yeah.
I've been teaching yoga mostly part time for the last few years, and only in the last kind of month I've actually shifted to doing it full time,
Okay.
and taken me a little while to kind of come to terms with it. And it's like before even like the last month, I've been getting a lot of people like, "Oh, can you teach this class? Can you do that?" And it's like sometimes I just didn't have the time because I was working in the daytime and then just trying to do the yoga on the side.
Yeah.
So kind of made the decision to fully shift into it,
That's
and already
exciting.
I'm yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really been a bit like, oh, I'm not sure. And then I was like, let me just go for it. Let me just see what happens. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give it a few months, see what where I'm at. And so what I was doing before was like freelancing in the day as like a copywriter, and I was just finding that when I was doing that, I just couldn't wait for it to like it was decent money. It's not stressful work, but I'd just be like, can't wait to go and teach now. Like,
Mhm. Mhm. It wasn't filling
um,
you up, like, yeah.
no, not really. It was a bit like, not gonna lie, some days I was falling asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know, but yeah. So the reason why I was telling you this, and where I think my point was trying to get make was that I've now taken the leap, and now officially I'm like a full entrepreneur of like self-employed. So
Yeah.
I've just been finding new ways that I can make money, and it really forces you to kind of get creative as well. Because I've noticed that maybe before the yoga money was just like a little extra side money, and then I'd put a bit of that money towards like training, and now I'm like, okay, like I'm having several calls with people every week of like, what are we going to do next? What workshops happening next? So I'm being a lot more strategic, which has again naturally happened. So I just feel like in turn, and this is I think kind of fairly a common thing with yoga teachers that go from kind of part-time to full-time. A few people have said to me that you kind of start off where you're like, oh, and then when you make the change, it like yoga starts to pull more.
Mm.
And it might even be, even if your industry isn't the wellness industry, you might find that that's happening with something else, that maybe you've started a side hustle alongside your main job, and it's starting to grow and pull you more that way.
Yeah.
So I'm just finally kind of listened to it, and it's weird how things started to clear. It was like the freelance work I was doing. It was only supposed to be for a month, and then I ended up doing it for over a year, and then
Mm.
it came to an end. And then I was like, okay, I could look for more work, and then I didn't, and then I was like, oh, what's going on? I need money.
Yeah.
But then I just reached out to the studios I teach at, and they offered me more classes, and then it's just starting to grow. So it's still like a gradual process, but I'm finding that yeah, it's just things are kind of aligning, which is really interesting
Yeah.
and exciting. And yeah, it's an exciting journey really. So I can
Yeah.
fully say I am a yoga teacher and wellness entrepreneur now, whereas before it was like I'm teaching on the side
Mhm. Mhm.
and I do this.
Oh, that's so exciting because I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. It's kind of like an
Mm.
identity thing, right? It's like I am a
Mhm.
yoga teacher. I can say that, right? But
Mhm.
I'm doing it part-time, so sometimes it doesn't feel fully me, right? It doesn't feel
Yeah.
like fully right. Like I don't feel
Mhm.
like I'm being completely honest sometimes when I say that, right? So I
Mhm.
totally get that. Right now I'm still in my part-time, right? I have a part-time
Mhm.
job that I'll probably be there for at least a little while longer just because we're diversifying income, right? Like
Mhm.
I actually
100%.
enjoy doing that job and it's not too stressful on me. And it's like, okay, I can do it and I can make some money and I can sustain myself, right? So I
Mhm.
totally
Mhm.
understand that because now when I introduce myself, I say I'm a podcast producer, right? So sometimes it's like, yes, I am a podcast producer. I do that. I
Right.
get paid to produce people's
Yeah.
podcasts, right? But that is not all that I am. I also have a side hustle, right? I also do these other things. So it's like
Mhm.
identity, trying to figure out like what is my
Which one?
identity? What am I trying to say, right? Like who am I in this
Mhm.
moment? So
Mm.
yeah, I totally get that. I want to talk to you about, or I want to hear more about, like, what did it feel like? You talked about like the pull, right?
Mm.
Going from part-time into full-time. Um, how did it feel? What did that pull feel like? What was going on in your life that made you finally just like take that leap? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it this time, right? Like, what did that feel like? Bring us into that moment.
Yeah.
Or that
So yeah,
series of moments, because I know sometimes
yeah.
it's not just one moment, it's like a series of things, right?
That is true, actually. Yeah, because it takes me a while, and that's the thing. I tell a lot of people to like listen to intuition and trust yourself and all of that. And it's sometimes it's so quiet, and I think my
Mm,
intuition has been telling me this for a long time, maybe for
mm,
the last year. And it was just, I think what was stopping me was maybe a little bit of fear and a little bit of like not even doubt, like okay, a little bit of self doubt in terms of could I sustain it, and then I have like a few things where I'm like okay, I'm approaching my late 30s, so it's like okay, how long will my body be able to kind of
mm,
do this?
mhm,
And like all those little things were kind of niggling in the back of my head. And I don't know, I think when I was doing the freelance work as a copywriter, I just felt like there was just days where I just kept thinking that okay, the sort of 9 hours I'm spending working, what I could be doing with yoga. I was like,
mm,
I worked out how many hours of yoga I need to teach to live off, and I was like, I'd be literally halving the amount of hours I'd need to work,
mm,
apart from like traveling and things. And then I was just thinking that okay, in all the times I'm sat there in the day, I'm like, I could be doing yoga, I could be thinking about yoga, I could be doing admin, I could be working on my business.
yeah,
And I just think those thoughts just kept coming in day after day, week after week, especially if I had like kind of a bad day or a day where I just didn't want to be there. So it was just gradually over time. And then I think when as I said, as the contract came to an end, I kind of was trying to look for work, but something was like, nah, like don't look for work in
yeah,
this industry. You're done now. Like you've been there, done that, you've made your money, you know what you need to do. And it kind of kept saying that to me, but I was like, oh, you kind of panic because you're like, okay, how am I gonna live? And I
mhm,
sat down, kind of looked at my no, you know it, right?
yeah,
I kind of sat down, looked at my money, and I was like, okay, if I started doing it this month, would I be okay? And so I've just kind of worked out some kind of plan. But as I said, like that pull was like the voice was something was telling me from a very long time, and I was ignoring it. And then it was just like then I just didn't have the urge to go back to working 9 to 5. Like, and it's even funny because in a past life I've got like a fashion qualification, and I still get like alerts and things. And there was a fashion job that popped up where I think maybe 10 years ago I would have jumped at, but
yeah,
I saw it and I was like, nah. And I was
mm,
like, that's weird. Like, and I was
yeah,
like, okay, I'm not that person now. And then I was like, okay, I don't want to be in an office job 9 to 5. I need to be moving around. I like being out there, talking to people, teaching. And I was like, it just feels more like right. So yeah, maybe that pull is like your body kind of, or even your actions just start to tell you or show you that okay, now's the time. Like just make a plan if you've got doubts, because I've still got the doubts there, but I'm like building contingency plans and continue. So I know that say if my body isn't up to it one day, then I can do this to make some money, or I can do that. So yeah, I guess.
yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you for being vulnerable in this moment and just explaining all of that. I think a lot of people think that when you talk about taking the leap, you mean like, you just decide to quit your job
Yeah.
today and you just decide to start something new tomorrow, right? And it's like, no, 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 no. That is not what we're saying on this podcast at all. No, 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 no. Plan, right? Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. You said you planned. You
Mhm.
had A, B, C, right? D, maybe further than that. Like, you had plans for if these plans don't work out, I got more plans, right? So I think it is
Mhm.
very important to plan. And I'm
Mhm.
also not saying to keep planning and then never do anything, right? No, you planned
Yeah.
and you did it, right? And you had your plans just in case things didn't work out. So
Mhm.
that is that's it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling y'all to do, right? Plan for it, plan for it, plan for it, and do
Yeah.
it. I love that.
Yes. Yes. And calculated risks as well.
Yes.
Like, yeah, some people feel like you need to jump off a cliff, but you don't. You can kind of edge towards the cliff and then just check that the bridge is getting built
There we go.
and there's a way to get onto that bridge, so
Yes.
you don't need to jump off and then hope that the parachute's going to
There
open.
you go.
Um, it can be helpful. And yeah, and sorry, I would also say that I think if you're kind of pondering on something and you're kind of thinking, I'm not sure, I've got this doubt, just sit with it, maybe meditate on it, maybe write a list, maybe pros and cons it, maybe just go, okay, what else can I do alongside that if I don't make the money? And I don't know about the US, but in the UK, if say you need financial support, there's like a system here that can kind of help you until you're back on your feet. So I've got that as like maybe as a backup plan if I need it. But there's other, you just kind of have a plan so you know that you can pay your bills, eat your food, and live.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're talking
Yeah.
about things like
Mm,
SNAP, food stamps,
mm,
and rental assistance, and
mm,
things like that that absolutely
mm,
exist here.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
Now,
Mm,
you don't. I'm not gonna comment on how easy or difficult it is to get those things, right?
right.
I had food stamps for maybe 6 months, and then they took them away. So
Oh wow. Oh gosh.
so it's
Oh.
like, oh, I didn't make enough, or I made just under the threshold to receive food stamps, but then something changed, I guess, in 6 months, and it's like, nope, because my income that I reported did not change. But like, yeah, that's a whole nother story. We won't get too much into that. But the
Oh
point
gosh.
is, right, there are those things that exist, right?
Mm,
And sometimes it's okay, right? Like it's okay
mm,
to utilize those programs. You don't
mhm,
have to feel shame or anything negative about using those programs. They're there to help you.
mhm.
So absolutely utilize them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
100%.
I think another important thing you brought up was yoga especially is something that can be taxing on your body. So if you're thinking about, or if you're
Mhm,
doing something that is very taxing on your body, you're thinking about traveling a lot, right? Or there are jobs that are
mhm,
just very more
mhm,
taxing on your body than the like sitting down in an office job, right?
mhm,
So talk more about that, because I think that's it's an important thing to think of, right? Like like you said, how long am I going to be able to
mm,
do this, right? How long is this going
mm,
to be sustainable for me? And
mhm.
that where it comes the planning comes in again, right? Thinking
Yes.
about like what else I can do, thinking about the future. And then you talk a lot about kind of just like sitting with it, right? Staying
Mhm,
present so that you can recognize those things, right? So yeah,
mhm.
just talk more about that.
Okay, cool. So in terms of like kind of body, in that sense of that
Yeah.
question, what I've noticed as well, there are, even in the sort of network of yoga teachers that I know, there are women and men that are older. So I was like, actually, if they're still doing it and they've been doing it 10, 15, 20 years, then I'm like, okay, there is a way around it. And what I've been doing now is I've been taking more care of like my body and what I'm eating and things like that. And then I've even said to myself, maybe what I need to do is maybe once a month, maybe once a week, if money permits, that I treat myself to a massage, because I'm
Yeah.
thinking I need my body to be good and working and everything like that. So yeah, so things like that I've been trying to be mindful of as I've been teaching more. I've noticed even my style and my confidence is changing and growing. So
Yeah.
I'm finding that maybe before I would probably do most of the class, and now I'm like, okay, I'm stepping away from that. Let me do less. Let me watch more. Let me teach more. So then it's like I'm not doing as much on my body, and kind of releasing that pressure as well. So I guess there's just, in that sense, just finding ways that will help you if you are looking at doing something more physically demanding. Maybe just start to look after yourself more, make that time. Like I know that I'm quite I'm quite a tired person, so I always end up having like a nap in the middle of
Same.
the day at some point. Yeah. So it's just, honoring that if I need it and not feeling guilty about it, and making time, like downtime for myself.
Yeah.
Even though I've now kind of, my schedule's more open and I'm not working as many hours, but I'm still quite busy. I'm still traveling here and there, and I'm finding, okay, I need to just make sure I've got pockets of time that I rest. And even if I'm not doing anything, and just making sure I've got that time, because I need my body to cooperate with me, and my mind. So if I'm not honoring that, then how can I then give out and put out to others? And with yoga, it can be physically demanding. It can actually be spiritually, sometimes emotionally, because you are kind of giving out a service and
Hmm.
putting out into others. So it's just kind of making sure, as much as possible, you're recharging and giving back, putting back into you. So that's how I'm currently managing that at the moment. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the other thing you said about,
Being intentional and like being in the moment, being present so that you can notice the things that you're, notice the pull, notice what your body's doing, things like that.
yeah, so I think how that was working for me was, I do, what I aim to do is every morning meditate for at least 5 minutes. I've upped it to 10 because I'm finding I can get a little bit deeper. Even if my mind's busy, I find things kind of come to me a bit clearer.
Mm.
So even just like for me, I was making time to meditate. I was making time to just kind of write lists or ideas as soon as they come into my head. I kind of, if you see my phone, it's ridiculous. I've got like notes, and they, like, half of them don't make sense because it's like idea there to do this. It's just chaos. But I just find, like, as soon as it comes in, and then any ideas that were coming to me as well, like having those gaps in the day where you're taking time out. Even if you don't have a lot of time, maybe you go for a little walk. If people with like dogs and things like that, I guess you take your dog for a walk every day pretty much. So that's time that you can just think. Don't go on your phone, just spend time being present.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised how much things just come to you when you're actually in the moment, not like zoning out onto like social media or
Yeah.
replying to messages. Because I'm a bit of a sucker for like trying to reply to people straight away. But like, some days I'm like, I need to just not be on my phone, like not replying to people, because it's just taking up a lot of headspace, and you're not getting time to
Yeah.
kind of process and think and take a moment. Even like, I try and find spaces in the day where maybe you would be doing something that distracts your mind, but like if you're eating, like sometimes I used to maybe sit down and eat a meal and watch TV, but now I'm like, actually, I don't watch the TV. I might just eat my food, and just take my time, and
Yeah.
then you just then get ideas, or whatever it is. So again, it's just kind of sitting with yourself, quiet time, not where you're like distracted or looking at things or talking to someone. Just making sure you've got even like 20 minutes in the day of just quiet.
Yeah, yeah. And that's so
Yeah.
important. And I love what you said. It's like start with 5 minutes, right? Like you
Mm,
have 5 minutes. I know
mhm,
we're all busy. I know
mhm,
we are super busy,
mhm,
right? But I know you have
mm.
5 minutes, right? So and
Yeah.
that's enough, right? For you to start. That's enough for you to see like how it can affect you and see the benefits of it, and that's enough for
Mm.
you to want more, right? Like start with that 5 minutes. I guarantee it's not gonna stay 5 minutes. It's gonna grow. So yeah, I love how you said that. Hey y'all, Pink Lady here. I am the producer for Dem Boys Podcast, and I am so excited to tell you about my production company,
Pink Lady Productions. We collaborate with creatives like you who are driven to share your message by launching your podcast from A to Z and coaching you through the process. To learn more about our services, check out our website at pinkladyprod.com. That's PINKLADYPROD.com.
let's talk about your business, because this
Mhm.
is all about entrepreneurship. So let's just
Yeah.
talk about like the evolution of your business, where it started. We kind of talked about where you are now and going full time, which is amazing. I think that's the goal for a lot of us, so love it.
Yeah.
So but where did it begin? Because it you clearly didn't start here. So where did it begin and how did it evolve over time?
Okay. I guess starting from the beginning would be so when I was working in the fashion industry, I actually started working at a yoga studio part time to make a bit extra money and to get free yoga classes.
Yes.
Because A, it can be quite expensive, and B, I always just loved going to classes and being in that environment, and just being around the people because everybody always seemed nice, really chilled. Like, so I just thought, you know what, it just balanced it out because I would like work at my job, be really stressed out, like work longer hours and just feel really depleted. And then I'd come to this yoga studio after, and it would just be so nice. Like, I'd be there like maybe a few hours and it would just make my day.
Yes.
So I kind of started there, just kind of greeting people, letting people in, that kind of thing. And then I remember one day, I think a teacher was late, or I don't think they were able to make it. I can't remember what happened. Something happened. And some of the students like, oh, can you teach the class? And then they were like, oh, and then they were kind of being serious, but I was a bit like, no, I couldn't teach the class. Like, don't be silly.
Right. Not me.
And yeah, and then I thought, would it be so weird if I could become a teacher? But I was like, because at that time I hadn't really seen like a yoga teacher that looked like me,
Mm,
and I was a bit like, I don't know, but I was like, I think it would be really nice
mhm,
though. And then so that it was like a little seed that got planted. It was just like an accidental thing that someone had kind of said. And then I think another time someone kind of mentioned it. And then the supervisor at the time, I was talking to her, I was like, oh, I kind of thinking about it, like just in the back of my mind. And she was like, you'd be really good, like your personality, like, and she was just really encouraging. And I thought, okay, maybe then. Like, and then the opportunity presented itself. So I think I was going to do my training at that studio, but it was like over like 9 months or something. And I think I was waiting for the date or something. And then again, like things kind of aligned. I think I changed jobs, or I think I went to freelancing or something at that point, and then it ended. And I think I had like a gap of like where I had no work for like a month or so. And I was like, I think I might do my training abroad because I'd heard some other yoga teachers talking about like doing it in a month, and they'd went to India and different places like Bali. And I wanted to go to Bali, but I actually ended up doing it in India.
mm,
Um, so anyway, like to kind of fast forward to then, I did the training, and it was January 2020. So when I came back from India, we were in lockdown, and then I kind of started teaching online, and that kind of saved me. So again, going back to the kind of financial support, because it was lockdown and it was quite hard to get a job if you weren't working. If you had
mhm,
if you already had a job, you got like furlough and whatever. So I think I came back. I think I started temping, and then that ended, and then I had to go on like financial support, which I was at first I felt kind of like I don't want to do this, but in my mind I was like, this is literally temporary. Like, I'm going to maybe do this for a couple of months and then I'll be off it. And actually, what was really good, they had some program where they helped you set up a business. So they actually kind of, you did like a few classes, and then they gave you a bit of money towards starting up. So I kind of used that money to pay for like my insurance and yoga mats and little things like that. So I actually started the business, started teaching online, and then as we started to come out of lockdown, I started taking on like one or two classes. Then I did my own things. Sometimes I did workshops, and I just started to build like clientele, and I just kind of just took it part time. And then I think maybe to kind of fast forward to now, maybe in the last year, I started just taking a few more classes on. So maybe before I was probably doing like one or two a week, maybe a workshop here and there, and now it's like or last year it was maybe like 4 or 5 classes, a couple more workshops, and now it's like I'm doing a lot more classes because I'm now full time, and
mhm.
then I'm doing more workshops, and it's almost like a couple of workshops a month rather than every blue moon or a few months. So it's just been like a gradual change as my work's changed, as my mind's changed, as I've been changing. So I'm kind of always evolving and always just taking it at whatever pace it needs to. So it's definitely been a journey, and I think building it this way is quite nice because I've kind of started to get to know different people, different customers,
Yeah.
different things that I can do, and connected with a lot of people. So it's just really exciting.
Yeah.
The journey's always taking me by surprise where it wants to lead
Yeah,
me.
that's so cool because you built your network, your clients, and your all of your network along the way, and now it's like I'm sure your network is booming now, and now that you're doing it full time, it's easier to step into those roles because people already know you and people already know what you're about, and like
Yeah,
they're more
yeah.
likely to hire you. So I think that's smart, and then it's beautiful how it happened to you, how it happened for you. Can you
Mm.
talk about like how it felt in those moments? I think we talk about like what happened and the actuality of what happened. But I definitely
Mm.
want to get more into like, okay, what did this feel like? How did it feel in these moments? And maybe talk about some challenges that you went through
Mm.
along the way. Because we know that it is not just like, okay, we say we're going to do this thing and then we're able to do it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately life doesn't work like that. We got to
True.
go through some things sometimes, and those we're better for it a lot of the time,
Mm.
right? We learn how to maneuver, we learn different lessons. So talk about like how you felt through those different,
Mm.
excuse me, transitions, and maybe some challenges you overcame along the way.
Okay. I'd say like the first thought there was when I went to India, and when I was there, it was like I kind of went from like a lot of shifts happened there. So I kind of went from even things as simple as diet. Like I really went from being very much like eating a lot of, I don't really eat red meat, but I eat like chicken and fish. So when we did the training, it was like vegetarian. So it was just like
Mhm.
when you were there, you were eating like a lot more healthier, and then you were doing a lot of yoga, a lot of spiritual practices. So I was getting like dreams, and things were shifting, and I just felt like, whoa, some things changing. And even when
Mm.
I came back home, and I was like, the life I'm living isn't working for me. Something
Mm.
needs to change, and it was just so apparent. And it took a long time for me to kind of accept that realization and start to pivot. So even just the way I thought, and like I'm a fire sign, I'm an Aries, so I did notice before, maybe not that I was, not that I'm the most like angry person or whatever. I think I would be quite irritated by a lot of things, but I think maybe doing that training, maybe teaching yoga, I noticed things irritate me a lot less.
Mm.
Like I'm a lot more like, just let it go, like all the small things don't really matter.
Yeah.
And I noticed maybe with some people now, it's like all these little things really bug them, like road rage, like all these, and I'm just like
Yes.
in my car, like chill, like it's okay, like as long as no one's getting hurt,
Yep.
I'm nice. So just things like that. Like I noticed emotionally I was shifting. I was probably a bit more open because as a person I was emotional. I wouldn't really express myself. So I found when I was there, I like had spaces, or I had people where I could kind of release some
Mm.
emotions.
Yeah.
So it's been like a journey of releasing and showing more that feminine side. And I think that's why I love teaching. I feel like I can get more into my feminine and more into this nurturing like energy. Whereas I think before I felt like I was kind of masculine as a female. Like I was very like, I wasn't really in touch with my emotions. I was very like, not direct, but I felt like I wasn't really in my feminine. And I feel like that shift is still happening. I feel that I am in my feminine now. Um, in terms of going through the journey and stuff, I think just the like the small wins and stuff, like where people come to me and they tell me how much they enjoyed a class, or they
Mm.
kind of keep coming back, or just things like that are really like remind me that okay, this is what I'm doing, this like people like do like what I'm doing, and I am actually a good teacher.
Yeah.
Because you have them days, like sometimes I have them days where I'm like, am I that good, like
Mhm.
there's more I could know, or there's more I could learn, but I'm doing as much as I can to give to people. So I think just those small moments where people say something, or they might come to me and say, I've released, or I really needed that today, or things like that. It's just been like those wins that make me feel really good.
Yeah.
And I think just kind of touching on like challenges. So I remember when I started to try and do my own classes. So I found that quite challenging because it's like a lot of marketing and getting yourself out there and reaching out to people,
Yeah.
and I found like a bit of like I didn't really want to be bugging people because like we've all got that one person that they've got like some WhatsApp group and they're like posting like
Yeah.
20 and you're just like, leave me alone.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
and then they DM you, and you're like, oh my God, I haven't even responded, but
Mm-hmm.
you're messaging me. So I felt like I don't want to do that. But there's an element of me that has to do a bit of that, but not so much. So, when I kind of started out, I found that like doing my own classes, it was quite hard to get the numbers going. So then I thought, actually, I don't really know enough people, so I need to start teaching classes. I need to be more present online. So like things like that, I've had to kind of work around, and it's still a learning process. It's still growing.
Yeah.
Um, so those have been quite challenging. Sometimes it's a bit disheartening if you've put all the effort in to set up a class, and then it's kind of like you might get the one person that shows up.
Yeah.
And in those moments, I've had to say to myself, well, somebody's booked, somebody's turned up, and they've showed up, so it's not the end of the world. And there might be times where no one turns up, and you can't take it personally, because sometimes people don't show up because of them, because
Mm.
maybe they can't make the time, maybe they haven't got the money, maybe there's just so many things going on with life that people can't make it. And I think, to kind of come back to Black people, I think maybe we don't, maybe more now we are doing it, we are honoring our self-care time, but I feel like we almost need more of a nudge, more of a push, whereas I think maybe other people outside our race, they kind of understand that they need that time and that space for healing or self-care, whatever it is, and maybe feel less guilty. I don't know, I could be wrong, but what I do notice is, because I mean, I offer classes to everyone, but I do find sometimes when I'm trying to do more of a Black event, it feels like I have to do a bit more marketing to kind of convince people that, okay, you might need this. Fair enough, like maybe you haven't got the enough spare cash to spend on something that isn't like your essentials. But I just think when you make this time for yourself and recharge, you can then get on with your day or your life a bit better, because you've taken that time out to give you, to pour into yourself. Because we're kind of running around getting depleted, energy wise, emotionally, physically, whatever it is. So I just think, like, making that time and spending a little bit of money, and to be fair as well, sometimes people can't afford some of the things that I do, and I try and make it as reasonable as possible to still then make some kind of money. But you can always reach out to organizers if you see something you really like, but you're like, I can't afford it. They might be able to help, and sometimes that happens. Like, if people really are like, I really need to come, is there anything you can do? I'd always consider it, because I just think I've been there, like, and I know other people that maybe financially they can't make it work, or they can't justify it, but maybe if it's a little bit cheaper, they could actually come and it could actually help them. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of the challenges and how it's felt, and you kind of go through the motions, and yeah, and it's been really beautiful connecting with so many people. I've met a lot of amazing women, amazing men, different people. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really like what you said about like not taking things personally.
Mm,
sometimes you try your hardest and you do a lot of work and you create this amazing thing and nobody shows
mm,
up for it, and it's like
mm,
it a lot of the times it's not about you, right? It's about them. And it's important to just take it as data, right? Like take all of that data, something in
mm,
this format in this equation doesn't work, right? So trying different things and figuring out what will work for you or what will work for your audience. That's
mm,
a lot of times the fun part, right? Like switching it
mm.
up and trying different things. That can be really
Yeah.
fun. But you can't take it personally, because if you take it personally, then you'll look at yourself and you're like, what did I do wrong, right?
Mm,
And it's not
mm,
about what you did wrong or anything that's wrong. It's just about it not working a lot of the time, right? Like you said, it might be the wrong time. It might be the wrong day. It might be the wrong
mm,
price, right? It may be that sometimes a lot of people can't afford it or they can't get to you. They don't have access, right? So you try a
mm,
different thing. Maybe I'll do something live, right? Where people don't have to pay. They don't have to go anywhere. They have access to me, right? And
mm,
now if
mm,
that's not working, then right, you got to look at maybe your audience or whatever. But
the point is trying different things and taking things as data and not taking it as, something
Mm.
wrong with you. To don't take it personal. It's funny, I was just having a conversation about how people when people say like it's not business, it's personal, but when they say that, it's usually something that's very personal, right? Nobody
Right.
pays you and say, oh, it's not business, I mean, it's not personal, it's business, right? Like,
Yeah.
because there's no issue, right? People only say that when there's an issue, and it's usually very personal. But in this case, right, like it's the opposite, right? It's really not usually about you, it's more so about them, right? So I think
100%.
that's a great point. And then, so like Black people in yoga, Black people in healing, Black people in therapy, right? There is a thing. And 2025 is very different than it was in 2020, right? So progress,
Right.
I've absolutely seen progress. But we still getting there, right? Like we could definitely, you can use nudges, we can use some pushes, and like, yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is reframing what we see as self-care, right? Because a
Mhm.
lot of the times we see self-care as like big things, going on vacation, right?
Yeah.
Like going to do certain things, but like self-care can be simple as meditating 5 minutes a day, right?
Mhm.
It can be like,
Take the
I'm
walk.
gonna
Mhm.
take my time and drink my tea and not watch anything, not get on my phone and scroll, and really just like dive into me and see what's going on in my head and be intentional and be present in the moment, right? So
100%.
I think that's a big
Mm.
part of it. Like we got to reframe how we view self-care.
Hmm.
And yeah.
Maybe it needs to be called like self time or something
mm,
like just that you make a bit of time where it's
Me
just
time.
you,
Yeah.
you and your thoughts. Maybe you're having a nap. I don't know. Like,
Absolutely. But it's finding
yeah.
what you need, and you don't find what you need if you don't take that time with yourself, right? So, because for everybody it's different, right? Something for, I love to read. So I could spend an hour reading a book and I'm like refreshed. I'm like, all right, I'm on to the next thing, right? Some people take 30 minutes reading a book and they gonna fall asleep on it, right? So it's finding what works for you and what really fills
Yeah,
you, right? Like what really makes you feel good, what
mm,
relaxes you, those type of things. So yeah.
that's true. And even if like you haven't got a lot of time, like I know like some people, if you've got kids or a busy life or family or
Yeah.
something, sometimes you know when you go to the toilet and sometimes you take your phone in there and you're just scrolling. Maybe you don't take your phone. Maybe you just take your journal,
Yep.
or you know like the kids can't get in. I mean, maybe they can. I don't know. But you know, you take the 5 minutes there. Like if you really are like you ain't got no time, or in your car or something. Like when you get home, you just sit in your car for a few more minutes and just breathe, like
Yeah.
honestly. And I loved what you said about like we've like not taking it personally in terms of like that's the fun part of you working things out and shifting, because that's true. Like I've had to get a lot more creative and maybe like ask people what is it that you want, what days work best, like things like that. So it actually
Yeah.
starts to make you think outside the box and understand what else you can do. And yeah, and just trying different things, because that's all you can do is just
Yeah.
you can't like roll the dice, see what happens, see what works. Some people are more strategic. I'm a bit more like, let me just try this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like there's no like one formula, right? Different things work for different people. So trying trying different things is a huge part of it. Um, all right, let's get into these entrepreneur questions. We heard about you building your business.
Mhm.
Now I want to hear, what does being an entrepreneur mean to you?
Mm. So I think when I like thought of this initially, I was thinking like freedom. It,
Mm,
it makes me feel free. And I think now as well, I feel like, you know, just not yeah, I don't know, this sounds really big, but like unstoppable. I just feel like okay,
yes.
like I can do anything. Like I've just got so many ideas and so many things I want to do, and it's really exciting. It's really, you know, there's obviously like risks and times where you're like, okay, will I be making enough money? But actually I'm starting to feel like I'm really starting to trust myself and rely more on myself. So it's
Mm,
really been a learning curve, because I, before, especially coming from the industry I was in, I was really working with a lot of self-doubt. And being an entrepreneur, you really have to rely on yourself and you making that money,
Yeah.
and making sure you don't, like, your minds are good, your body's good, all of that. So it's just really been a time of self-reliance and trusting myself, and respecting myself, and going, this could work, this could be the chance. And also, sorry, this is kind of going off into a little branch, but it's also the way you talk to yourself. Like, I've
Mm.
done events and I've said, okay, I want this many people, and then I get the number or slightly higher.
Mm.
And I think it's just saying those things that, you're making it more possible because you think things into existence.
Yeah.
So, it always starts with a thought, then the actions come. And I think if you're thinking, okay, this ain't going to work, this ain't going to work, guess what? It's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who quoted it. They said, what was it? Your thoughts are true, whether they're negative or positive. So it's whatever you believe
Mm-hmm.
is true. So I mean, you could say I'm a millionaire, but like, and maybe keeping it more to the ground.
Yeah.
That this is going to work. I am an entrepreneur. This is going to work
Yeah.
because I've thought of this. So yeah. Sorry, the word was unstoppable.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
your question?
No, I love that. I love the way you framed it of like, I am an entrepreneur, like I'm unstoppable. I can do anything. And it's really
Yeah.
true because like there being an entrepreneur, the only limits on you are the ones placed on you by yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
you're the only one limiting yourself. So it makes so much sense. Like I'm unstoppable. I can do anything with my business, or maybe not with this business, but with the next business, right? Like, oh, I really love that mindset. Freedom is the answer that a lot of people give, right? The freedom entrepreneurship. But I think you just kind of leveled up with the unstoppable because it's like
Mhm.
freedom to be unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love how you said
Sky's
that.
the limit. Yeah, sky's the limit, because
Yeah.
then it's like you can do so much more, and now you've got the time to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're in your 9 to 5, it's like, okay, you've only got the evening or whatever it is to do what you're trying to do. And now it's like, I've got the time. I can make
Yeah.
the time. I can. So yeah, it's an
Yeah.
amazing space to be
Love
in.
that.
Yeah.
Love that. So please, this show is all about uplifting Black women entrepreneurs. So if you have any advice specifically for Black women entrepreneurs, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I know it kind of goes back to pouring into yourself. Like, just do those little things that make you feel good, and just believe. Like, if you have, like, what I had before, where like a lot of self-doubt, try and work past ways. Just convince yourself that you can do it. And I think it's just, you know that there is space for us, and I don't know why we maybe have it in the back of our mind that there isn't space, or other people doing it better, or what have you. The thing is, you need to show up in that space so other people can see that it's possible. And since being a yoga teacher, a Black female yoga teacher as well, which isn't very common, especially in the UK, um, I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, I didn't know, there were Black yoga teachers. I didn't know I could do this. Or some people thinking about it, and I'm like, I think that's how we're kind of evolving and showing the next generation or other women or other people that it's possible by doing. So the more we're doing, the more we're showing people, leading by example. And I just think, if you're thinking about it, you're more than capable. Like, you can do it, and you've just got to keep reminding yourself. Doesn't matter if you've got this going on, that going on, and your past has impacted you, whatever. You've got to, like, step away from that. That's the old version of you. And for you to allow yourself to evolve, you have to shift into another, almost like another person.
Mhm.
And you might need to do some things to help you shed that. Maybe it's therapy, maybe it's journaling, maybe hitting the therapy. I don't know, but I'd say do the work if you've got some kind of mental blocks or things like that. But just know that you are capable, and showing up in this space as a Black person, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you're making it possible for more Black people
Mm.
behind you to do it. So with that being said, I'm sure that's going to make you like, okay,
Mm.
maybe yeah, that's good.
That was a mic drop moment
Yeah.
because that's it. That is exactly, oh my gosh, because I think it's
that's one of my goals for this podcast, right? That's why
Amazing.
I'm not limiting it to any industry. I want to talk to Black women entrepreneurs in every industry, because exactly what you said, right? Like, I know there are people out there like, oh, there are Black women yoga teachers. Like, what? That's a thing that exists in 2025. Y'all still wondering that, and it's crazy. But yes, I'm here to show you that yes, they exist. There are Black women dog trainers. Yes, they're out here. Like, whatever you're thinking of, we exist in that space. And if we're not in that space yet, somebody's coming up. And exactly what you said is like, it's possibility models. One of my friends always says, like, there are possibility models, right? Like, once you see somebody in that space, you know that it's possible. And whether you were thinking about being in that space before or not, like, now it's like, oh, I'm definitely thinking about being in that space because I know it's possible. So I love what you said. That was definitely like, oh, mic drop. Perfect, perfect. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I know you listed self-confidence in business, and we kind of touched on that in the conversation, but please, if you want to say more.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Because I think as well, like, so confidence is learnt by action, isn't it? So I feel like even if you don't feel confident, you can kind of fake it till you make it, in a sense. Like, just leading by example, taking the action, you
Yeah.
start to build the confidence. When I kind of first started out doing my classes and workshops, I was a bit like, is it going to work? But I just kind of put myself out there and let it happen. And you kind of learn, like, it's better to do it than not do it. Because I remember I finished my training and I just started teaching. And a lot of the other students on the course that I did, I felt their yoga skills or their capabilities was better than mine, but that some of them took a longer time to start. And I just started because I was like, I've got the time, I can do it. I don't think I'm the most flexible person or whatever it was at the time. And I just did it because I just thought I need to try it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how you learn, that's how you grow, that's how you build confidence. So, sometimes we have these excuses in our head that, oh, I can't do this, I'm too old, or I'm black, or my back hurts, or all these like random things, or I've got kids, or I've got family to, there is always ways around it. There's always a solution to your problem. There is always some way to do it. Maybe you need to sound it out somewhere. Maybe you just need to have a little plan, or lean on other people for some support, or maybe reach out for support. So it's just, how can you make this work for you? And yeah, with going back to the confidence thing, just giving it a try.
Yeah.
And even if you kind of tell people at the end, you're like, I was a bit nervous, and people can tell you, like, actually they enjoyed it, or this was great. You gotta just put yourself out there, because you just never know what's gonna happen. Like,
Absolutely.
someone said to me, you could be a yoga teacher, and I laughed, and now here we are, 5 years later. I'm
Right.
an actual yoga
Right.
teacher. Like, people trust
Absolutely.
me and come to me, and it took me a long time to kind of make peace with that thought, because I was like, are people going to come to me? Are people going to believe that I can teach yoga? But people have chosen me because my energy, or the way I look, or whatever it might be, and that's just been a game changer in my confidence. So yeah, get out
Yeah.
there, do it. Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. I don't
Yes.
remember who said that, but I've said it so much on this podcast. It's not mine, y'all. I'm not claiming it. I know somebody, I got it from somewhere. I just don't know where, but
Yeah.
like, feel the fear, because you're going to feel the fear, the doubt, all of that. It's not going to go away. It's going to be there until you do the thing, right? Like, it's going to show up, it's going to continue to show up. It'll lessen, right? Like, every time you do it, you'll feel it less, but feel it and do it anyway, because like you said, you never know. And it goes back to not limiting yourself, right? Like, it goes back to you feeling the fear, you feeling the doubt, and you're like, I don't know if I can do this. And if you don't do it, you're limiting yourself, right? You feel the fear, you do it anyway. Who knows what could come of it? Like you were saying, like, there were people who may have been more technically challenged, right? May have had more experience, more training, right? But you did it, and now look where you are.
Yeah. And they were
Right?
looking at me like, wow, you started teaching, like, yeah. And I was like, Yeah.
Yeah, right? Because it happens so much. I can't tell you how many people I speak to about like starting a podcast, right? And sometimes I check in. I'm just wondering like, where are you? And, 9 months down the road, 2 years down the road, that podcast still hasn't started. And it's like you have the equipment, you have everything you need, you have all the plan, right? It goes back to like plan and don't do, right? So like what are you waiting for? And a lot of the time it's that confidence. It's like I don't know if people even want to hear what I have to say. And they do. Like that is always my answer. They do. There is an audience that is looking for you. They're looking for you to tell your story the way that you're going to tell it, the words that you're going to use, the voices that you're going to use, right? Like they're looking for you. So please do it. Feel whatever you feel, but do it anyway.
Tell the masses, man.
Yeah.
That's what we need to
Yes.
hear.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
Oh, amazing.